All right.
All right, good afternoon.
Hello.
A little rainy day today.
Yeah. Good day to be bargaining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
So we show the remainder of the non-economic items in your court. So we thought we'd hear if you have any counters for us, and we were going to start formulating maybe a package for some financials here today.
So the only two articles that we identified as still sort of being in our court at this point were 25, the reduction in workforce and recall, and then the counter that you proposed
22.
last time on
Right.
22, and that one, it does have a financial component to it, so even though it's a low dollar amount, we wanted to kind of take that in context with whatever you're gonna come back with in your whole bundle
Okay.
financially. So I'm happy to present 25,
That'd
and
be
we
great.
can talk about that, and then if you all need caucus time to be able to
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back
We
with.
did some work on it, but we just want to try to get as much of the language stuff done, and then.
Yeah, were there any other articles that you have on your list of things that are language-based that you feel like we owe you a response on, just to be sure we're not missing something?
I think, didn't we come back on, 19, I think we have to respond to, right?
I
And
think
I-
it's on you,
I-
yeah.
I'll double check in caucus, but I think we've agreed with your latest version on that. So, we felt like we might have addressed some of the issues that were outstanding out there. So, but we'll double check that in caucus. But I think that
Okay.
was it. But we'll also double check that in caucus.
Okay, that
Yeah.
works. All right, you can hand out that one, that's fine.
Okay.
So that also has a cost portion to it, so. I don't think so, because it has a monetary, well, I don't know, maybe we can plan it. Yeah, we're gonna have to call this in.
Okay. Nice tab go. Just a second here. All right, so on 25, we see, like, you broke everything up into these little sub-paragraphs. We went back to the original formatting in the contract, just easier to follow for us on our end. Under your G, you proposed removing R and replacing that with is. We accepted that change. We also accepted the change under your H, where the original word is experiences, and you're proposing to drop that S, and we're picking that up in that one. And then, under your L, we are accepting your strikeout language there, that is not a result of disciplinary action or performance reasons. Then moving into the notice of layoff, under what is your D, the original contract language, this would be found under B. You had proposed striking out previous job performance is documented in the employee's personnel file and the operational needs for special occupational skills, that whole chunk there all the way down through, pretty much through the rest of the sentence there. We agree to pick up the strikeout of the previous job performance, because we agree that is it's squishier and not a great basis to be considering around layoff, but we wanted to retain the language around operational need for special occupation skills, because we're thinking, and that actually benefits your members if they have a special certificate or something like that, that they've attained, or special skills in a particular position. We'd like to be able to consider that, to be able to retain them. And then maintaining the language around, essentially if there are 2 or more employees that all have the special skills, then seniority would take over. So you'll see kind of in that sentence, we struck out any place that referred to the job performance piece. And then your E, which is part of our proposals B, you had added in the language employees working back. We've basically accepted that concept, but reworded it here with retirees working back as outlined in Article 13. So
Okay.
we're in agreement around that. Under bumping rights, again, your B is found within that larger paragraph of our number 3, and we are accepting your language to increase from 7 to 10 working days. We are, let's see if I can, so then under your D, and let me see where it corresponds in ours. It'll take me just a second to crosswalk it. I think it's still under the first bit larger paragraph of 3. At any rate, under your D, you had proposed striking the words poor job performance in that section, and we want to retain that language because the way we read that is that somebody, bumping right can also be exercised to move into a position that the least senior employee in a position of equal or lower rate of pay previously held by the employee receiving the layoff notice in the past 3 years, provided that the employee receiving the layoff notice was not removed from that previously held position. So we think that that's different than what we removed earlier, which is actually making layoff sort of seniority types of calls based on performance. But this would be a scenario where if somebody was already removed from that position for a performance or disciplinary reason, we wouldn't want them to be permitted to bump back into it necessarily. So allowing that to still be a consideration in that scenario. So we didn't pick up that strikeout.
So you're not talking about like if we have a reduction in force and they're removed for that, or they're removed because they go somewhere else. You're saying literally if it's discipline,
Right.
or they couldn't do the job essentially. They were
Right,
removed.
yeah,
Okay.
if somebody wasn't able to do the job previously,
Right.
and now they want to bump back into that job, like,
Right.
we would like to retain the right to say, hey, no, that's, we're not gonna allow that to happen because you weren't successful previously.
But sometimes it's about a fit, you know, like if someone is in a super student-facing position and really excels at that, but they didn't excel in another area, or vice versa. You know, I've had secretaries in my experience that needed a less student-facing experience and were placed in a different building, and that was and there they excelled, they did great, but in the other situation they did not. And so like just being able to manage that, because you wouldn't want to put somebody back into a position that was a poor fit for them.
Right, where they wouldn't have a chance of being
Yeah.
successful. Your C, we accepted that change, and that is reflected in our 3B. And then I believe we accepted the changes from your D, and that is found in our 3C. We did not pick up the change in your E, just because it didn't quite make sense, because we were talking about 12-month employees versus 12 months. And so it didn't read, I think it's kind of semantics, but it was kind of a little confusing to us. So we didn't pick up that sort of grammatical change in your E. Then under your I, your proposed language would have people essentially redlined in their higher rate of pay. We did not pick that up because from our discussions, that can kind of defeat the purpose of the cost savings and the reasons that we're in RIF to begin with, right? If we're having to maintain folks at that higher rate of pay, it just means deeper cuts potentially to achieve the cuts that need to happen. And so it's kind of counterproductive from our discussion. So we did not pick up that language.
Did we understand that, did you guys understand that if they were moved to that, they would be frozen until steps in raises catch them, so they,
Yeah,
Okay, just making sure, yeah, okay.
thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, I understood what redlining means.
Sure.
But it still doesn't, I mean, like, if we're in a cut, if the district's in a cut mode.
it may not be enough, is what you're
It
saying.
may, it may mean that those
Yeah.
cuts have to go deeper and farther because we're trying to offset for maintaining people at a
Gotcha.
higher salary, and so that seems counterproductive.
Oh, understood.
Then, under your section 4 and 5, those were where, you had made a bunch of changes to
Right.
kind of the definition of full-time, part-time, and so
Mhm.
per an earlier pass, we are not picking up any of those changes, due to the financial impacts of that.
Sure.
Then, under your I, you had proposed language to change step movement from 90 days to 30 days in this section.
Mhm.
We did not pick that up because we wanted that language to align with other places in the contract that have 90 days as the step movement.
Okay.
But then going down to your L, we did pick up that 10 work days. That's found in our G, and the addition of the word working, that is also found in G. So we did pick up those, and then that would be all of the changes in 25.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
You also, I believe, are coming back, it reminded me seeing in the article here on, I think it's at Article 13, the retiree stuff, because I think we were getting closer, but I think we still were apart on that for the
thought
retirees
we
language.
I
TA'd
thought we
that.
TA'd that, Hobie, last time.
Did we?
I thought so.
Look at my TAs.
13. Do you have a TA?
Fair question.
Yeah, I don't have it either, so.
when I was on them.
We can confer
Yeah,
caucus,
when we were on
caucus,
the phone.
that just jogged my memory. I thought that was still out there.
Doesn't look
And I'd
TA.
have to look at my electronic
Okay,
spreadsheet.
we'll have to
Yeah,
look
I'm
for
pretty
it.
sure we
Okay.
did TA that. I think we gave it back to you. I think we're close, but I think that middle section that talks about the people that work back into their same jobs, I think we're still kind of talking about that.
Okay, so we'll dig into that.
Okay.
And take a peek and see where that is at. We,
Sounds good.
I think I
Um,
did see that we had offered a counter on 19 last time.
Yeah, I think
So I think
we might be
19's
there. I just want to double check in caucus,
Got it.
but
Okay,
I think we might be TA'd on that one, but let me take a look in caucus, and if not, we're dang close.
yep, that sounds good.
That's ours. It's gonna be in the memo.
So we did count it.
All right, so we check in here about 2:45 and see where we're
Sure,
at?
yeah,
All
we'll
right,
go look at
perfect.
13.
And we'll take a look at this too, thank you. Okay. So we have an announcement for you, Mr.
Yeah,
President?
we'll TA Article 19,
Oh,
as you,
great.
as you guys have presented.
Awesome, thank you.
Bro?
And then we thought you'd do 13, and then we would present what we have for you after that.
Sure, that sounds good. Yeah, 13 it is. This one's on the back page. It's gone back and forth more than any other article, I think. Okay. Sick thing.
All right, so I'm gonna walk through kind of looking at your last counter that we got. I know ours looks like it's all red, but there are definitely parts that we were kind of in agreement and gelling around.
Okay?
So that opening part, the retired employees, and then the sentence that's right under it, I think that was an area that we did not make any changes to that from your last proposal. Under A, we accepted pretty much all of your language from your last proposal with the exception of In the sentence that reads, the retiree, or excuse me, any employee on a plan of assistance, or having other recent, and you had put the word progressive discipline. We just removed the word progressive because we weren't sure if that meant that there had to be more than one discipline in the file versus just discipline. I think we're kind of there on the concept of if someone's got a performance plan or discipline, then there needs to be some discretion about whether or not to continue them.
Yeah, I think the context was, from our last discussion, was that, you know, they've maybe gotten like written warning and suspension, and now they're gonna work back and start over fresh from zero, and just that they were going down that path and they were using this as a way to avoid it. That's how we were looking at it. I don't know that it matters how many steps they are in. It's just
Okay.
more that if it looks like that's what they're doing, you know.
Right, so
based
our
on time,
proposal
yeah.
would be to remove the word progressive.
Okay.
And then we think this language is sort of halfway between what we had, which was full discretion to
Mhm.
management as to whether or not to let them work back, and what you had, which was absolutely they will
Right.
get to work back, guaranteed. This kind of puts us in the middle of that
Okay.
Compromise.
as a compromise.
All right, we'll take a look at it.
Then under B, we are reasserting our previous language. I think we were there in our discussions that it's really important from our team and talking about it that when we're talking about rehiring people in the next, you know, not within the year that they retire, but continuing to keep people on board in a position that for those retirees, we really want to have that be year to year and not just, we're just rehiring you in as though you hadn't retired ever. That retirement needs to sort of mean something, that I'm
Mhm.
retiring and then, yeah, we want you to come back next year to fill a need, but that by having it be year to year, that allows kind of the natural attrition to happen over time, and so that those positions maybe become available for other employees to rise up into a position or for new blood to come into the district, and so that we're not just sort of preserving status quo and having people retire and then just stay for forever.
Okay.
So we are reasserting our language.
That also matches how we do licensed and administrators, so
Yes.
they're on a year-to-year. So
When they retire.
when they
and
retire and work back.
Regardless of like what position they come into.
Yep.
Okay.
C was language that we had kind of come to agreement around, and so that is just reflected same from your last pass. We took out your D because we felt like it was redundant to some of the earlier language. We weren't really sure that it needed to be in there because it does say in each of those places that they retain seniority for the purpose of leave, and we consider the vacation part of that definition. So we
Okay.
didn't plug that back in because it was redundant. And then D is language that we had kind of mutually agreed to. So really, the main thing is we're reasserting our B in our pass back to you.
Okay. All right, we'll take a look at that. All right, well, we have prepared a bundle for you. Just looking at this real quickly, I will send you there's a page missing, I just noticed at the very end, of course. But it's just the page that shows like the classifications we want to redo. That's all it is. So I will email the corrected version of this with that page to you when I send it to you electronically, okay?
Hot off the press.
All right, so I'm sure you'll want to take this back and compare it to what we already gave you. Because there's things that we took out that I'm gonna skip. I just know I'm gonna skip when I present it to you, but you'll see that when you look at it. The first part, though, we're still showing the changes there on the first page and a half. Those have not changed, whether we struck them out or whether we're adding classifications there. So that is the same as you've seen. Going down to,
Can I ask a question about that?
absolutely.
I thought we just did a whole reclassification process in the last bargaining.
We did. Oh, no. We did
When
it.
you did the last
Did it
contract.
mid-contract, right? Is that what you're
No,
talking
the
about?
instructional assistant was part of the 23.
Oh, sorry. You're talking about the last bargaining session, last
Yeah.
bargaining session.
Yeah.
We did shift some stuff around. There was some disagreement about that on our side. I think because of the bigger picture of what we agreed to, we did make some of those concessions there. But there's some people that felt that some different things needed to change. That's what you're seeing reflected here, so, in this change here too, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
for the-
yeah,
for the
no, good
clarification.
question. So, under B, you'll see here that, I think we had step 9 through 15. This agreement shows 2 steps, one for each year of this offer, which is a 2-year offer here. You'll see 4% for both the next 2 years is put forward here. Actually, there's actually an extra page in here. Well, that's fine. It's 4% for the next 2 years is what they're requesting for the COLA, in addition to the new steps. When you turn the page, I think everything here is about the same. I know we removed a few things. So down under C, on the next page over, the idea behind this, and we're probably gonna look for you to maybe make this make a little more sense, is, the way we have it written now is that they would just get 5% if they have these. I think in our last proposal, you'd get 5% for each one you had. That seemed a bit much even for us, so we went ahead and pulled that for each out of there. The idea being if you have these things, you get the 5%. But if there's a better structure, I know other groups do it different ways with one-time bonuses, or they get an annual bonus, or there's different ways to do this. But this is just one way to show that we're trying to capture that expertise for the district and give it some value. So if you got some better ideas here, we're very open to listening to them. Going down below, I believe we're pretty close on the longevity stipend. When we did the jump between the 500 to 1,000, or excuse me, to 2,000, it was like 1,250 felt like it was more toward the middle of that. So that's why you see a slight change there in blue. It's just 1,250 instead of 1,000. But I think we've agreed the rest of the structure, the way you've put it forward and the amounts. Down below, we appreciate you spending some time on this. We have accepted your, in this bundle, we have accepted your extra duty, or extra work list stuff. I suspect we're gonna have bumps and bruises along the way, but I figure like we'll figure it out. But this feels like a good start. And it's definitely been something that's been tricky and we've been trying to figure out for years. So I don't know if this is the final solution, but this should get us to a solution that works, and we'll kind of just smooth out the rough spots as we go along. So we really appreciate you taking the time with that. Down below on the next page in 13, you've seen that before, the split positions. That didn't change. And then I think if you turn the page, professional, we just put some title in there, but nothing else has changed there. So Article 4, since the insurance pool is one of our definite things we want to have a discussion about here, and it looks like the increase is about $75 for folks, the latest increase. We're trying to show you here that there'd be the first year would be an increase of about $50 to try to offset part of that $75, not all of it, but part of it. Understanding that if you turn the page or a couple pages back, that's our pool language, which is what you've seen before. The idea would be that we might go a little bit backwards on the full cost of it by only getting $50 increase to cover that 75, but the idea would be that the pool, the next couple years after that, we would balance it out better with that, and there would be no raise in the cap for those 2 years too, under this bundled proposal either. So just trying to show you some savings on that side of it too. So it would bring down the cap a little for the district, even from what you've offered, but it would give us a little deference that first year until the pool kicks in.
Can I ask a clarification in
Yes.
1A?
Yes.
So my banking training is coming out right now, and
Yeah.
I'm showing written out $1,900.
Oh, but I didn't change the words, did I?
Yes, okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
for me, it was
Yeah, the
like
check
words.
works, yeah.
No, this has been a thing, this is all me. This has been a thing in the last couple of bargainings, and I don't know why. I think it's because we're trying to get it to you, so you have time to do something with
I
it
just wanted
before.
to make sure I wasn't
But
missing that.
that is right, it should reflect the numbers there, not just the writing. The writing out was incorrect. But if you could reflect the numbers, that's what we're getting at in this bundle, all right? And then if you turn to Article 11, which is the next one in your bundle, so you'll see here, we pulled back on reducing the benefit level for the employees. And we try to step it down and start benefits at 17.5 instead of 20, and, you know, and prorate, the proration, pull it back down too. We've abandoned that in this bundle, and you'll see that. That's why 11 and 25 are in here, because they both have those elements, as did, you know, insurance. We've pulled that back completely in this proposal here, so we wanted to show you that. What's left is basically just some titles. And then I emailed you about this, Marissa, a while back, but there was one MOU hanging out there. If you go down to number 5, under that, I graded out, because this is the language of the MOU. So unless we feel we need to add to it or change it, this is what we already have agreed. And there was no date on the MOU, so we could have just kept it in the back, but it feels like this is a good opportunity to get in the contract so people have it all together. But that's what you're seeing there that's a little different than what you've seen before. But the rest of this is just adding titles, pretty much. And then we have number 6. Now, we removed the language. We had a really good discussion about this and about what people should be doing in the morning and whatnot. Lisa, unfortunately, was not here for that discussion, and she had some questions, and we really are trying to figure out a solution to this. That's why the language is gone, but the title's still there, because we really are open to anything that fixes this. And I think you guys had come back, and jump in if I get it wrong, but I think you guys had come back and said that they shouldn't be doing this work, and if they do it, they should be time carding it. But they really shouldn't be doing this work. It really should be with the administrators, as I understood it. Lisa had some thoughts about that, so I thought I'd give her a moment to share some of those.
Well, I have never been told that my administrator should be doing that. I've been designated to do that by my administrator, so that's confusing to me. In a perfect world, everyone would put in their absences and everything, but it's not a perfect world. People get up late, people have sick kids, people have, they don't get up in time, they don't feel good, they don't get to it. So it's not gonna happen. It happens more often than you think it happens. I have 120 staff members that I have to take care of, and I cannot see my administrator doing that or my supervisor. But if you want them to do it, that's fine, but it has to come from you that you want them to be doing that. But
Yeah.
I don't see that happening, but that's just my opinion.
Are you turning in hours when you do that, Lisa?
I'm putting, yeah, I have a comp log.
You keep a comp log, okay.
And to me, my time is more important off than being paid money. So I take time off.
Yeah, so if you need a Friday off or whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think part of the
I
concern.
can see that happening at a Pradham, at a Silvercrest,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure,
but
yeah.
not at the high school.
Yeah, the high
And
school's
not
kind
at
of
the
a
middle
different
school.
animal.
I
Yeah.
don't see that happening
Yeah.
one bit.
Okay.
They have better things to do than worry about subs coming in.
And I think part of the concern that I remember from our discussion too, and stop me if I get it wrong, is that we had initiated something like, hey, a minimum of an hour or 2 hours, something like that, because even on the occasions where it's just a couple people, it's still so disruptive to the personal time, you know, because now it might take 15 minutes, but it's at 6 in the morning when you're trying to get ready or go to sleep or whatever, still sleeping or whatever. That was part of this concern too. And that's why we said, well, we have language about callbacks and we have language about making phone calls to people to find different things, and they get paid a certain amount of time. And so that's where we kind of had that language in there, was trying to approach that from that way. If you guys are agreeable that, you know, you're going to have the discussion and this is not going to be our work and our folks are not required to do this, I think we would like to see some kind of language that gives them something to point to when their boss talks to them, even if it's just clarifying language, not.
Could we do this, Hubby, could we like check with some other districts and see how they manage that? Because I certainly don't want our employees to do work that they're not getting paid for, right? I think that's really inappropriate. You know, I feel that way about that. Like, if you're up doing that, and you're making the calls, like, you should be charging us for that, first of all. But maybe see how other districts manage it that are similar in size to us. So let me make a couple of phone calls
Sure.
and see if I can figure out. I mean, maybe someone else has a better way. It's possible. You know, we're not the end
Sure.
all be all. I mean, I want to think we are, but.
Yeah. No, there's a few places across the state where this is also, I'm hearing the same problem.
Another problem, yeah.
It's not just Silver Falls, but I think the part I don't want to be lost on this is that, you know, it's very disruptive to these employees' lives too. And if we're going to have them do it, there needs to be it's not good enough to say, write that 10 minutes down on your time card. It's just not, because you're disrupting their whole morning, you're disrupting their sleep in some occasions. So we should really do it or not do it, but we should, or maybe we do it differently for the high school than we do it for the smaller schools. That's what we're asking for, but it really should be a block of time if they're gonna bother them at home.
Well,
Because-
maybe they should have their schedule adjusted, you know what I'm
That
saying?
could be
Maybe-
too. Yes,
Maybe we have
absolutely.
somebody that starts at 5,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I mean, that sounds weird, but you might have some, it's not me, you might have some morning person that wants to get up and take care of attendance at
Yeah.
5 a.m.
Yeah, because if I don't take care of that and I have an unfilled, I will pay the price later.
Yeah, all day.
I have to get that in as soon as I can, so I don't pay the price later.
Yeah, I ran a big building like yours. I understand what happens when you
Yeah.
don't have those people in place, and what a mad scramble that is when, you know,
Yeah.
everyone starts rolling in at 7 o'clock and you've got an
Well,
unfilled
and
spot.
I've had 5 unfilled teachers, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, because then you're trying to fill it by period, by,
Yeah,
buying out
yeah, and I'm trying to
crap
call and see if I can get somebody to come in, and,
Yeah,
oh, it's
Yeah.
just crazy. It's
And
gonna be a crazy
And I
morning.
think that this, you know, I don't think it sounds crazy to have somebody, I mean, I'm an ex-Teamster, we had dispatchers that would do exactly what she's doing for, hey, this group had people call out, now we need to call the list and start getting people over there, right? That's not crazy at all. That sounds like a good solution, actually, to doing this, is to have somebody who is your, essentially your, for lack of a better term, your hiring hall person, calling down the list, getting people to work, right? That sounds reasonable to me. And they could probably, if that was part of their job, they could probably do it for most of your schools, if not all of them, right? If that's the first half of their day is doing something like that, they would be able to do that, I think, a little more efficiently, doing it every day too. So actually, I think that's a really good possible solution here, so.
yeah, maybe, yeah, I mean, clearly there's a need, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when the work is happening, like, we're not, you know, we're not ignorant enough to think people, I mean, I know that people are calling in, they're supposed to have it in by 6, well, I know it's 6:05, they're like,
And
please
they've been
stop."
trained.
Yeah.
They've been trained, but, you know.
Yeah,
You
well,
know?
I do think it's important to, while we're navigating this, we still want employees to take ownership and report those absences to their administrators. I think that's where I'm struggling, is that it puts that on you to report to your supervisor that somebody's calling out after the cutoff time, and it creates a very interesting dynamic, and I want to avoid that as much as I can. But I totally agree with like an interruption of personal time. Like I don't want that to happen. That really stinks, and that's
I just think it's unavoidable. I've been doing it for 30 years. I mean, as much as we say, get your absences in, reality is much different.
how often do you think you take, you know, absence calls like after you should have? So like after, so they didn't turn it in on time, it's not in the system. How often do you take those, do you know?
Pretty much every day.
Every single day?
Or I can't get into the system
Yeah.
at 5:05 in the morning. Yes,
Yeah.
that happens often.
I can't get into the system.
Yeah.
Okay, this is something we
It,
clearly got.
it happens pretty often.
Okay.
All right, well, I
Thanks
wanted
for
to
your
have that
feedback. I
discussion
appreciate it.
since we're all here today.
Yeah, super fun. Thanks, Toby.
All right. So in this bundle, if you turn the page, you'll see that we've reverted back to current contract language in Article 16, except for the very last sentence. And the idea here being is, you know, if I take a day off and decide to work the extra hours, I don't work 48 hours, without getting into overtime. So I took a day off. It was not to work more hours the other days, you know. So we've left that last sentence, but the rest in this bundle has been reverted back to current contract And if you turn the page again, Article 17, I know we had a whole slew of holidays on there. These are the ones that, talking to the group, that feels like it's a better balance of holidays. And so we've cut them way back from, all the open little boxes used to have holidays, to give you an idea. We've cut them way back so that we feel like this is a better reflection of the holidays that we're looking for this time. And then the language below you've seen before. And I think if you turn to the next page, we have, what happened here? There's a page missing. God dang it.
Uh-oh.
Well, this must have happened when we printed it. Yeah, there's a page missing. The first page of 25 is missing, but I think that had we agreed to what was on there. Dang it. I'll make sure that's in, in fact, I know it's in the electronic bundle when I send it to you. But I think we're largely agreeing to most of this stuff here. What we did here under R2D is we took what you said, we crossed out that first sentence. We left your second sentence, but we wanted to make clear that we're talking about required for the position, because there's a game, here you go, you get to hear it again, that before you got here, there was a game played that, oh, well, they have this one type of weird license that has nothing to do with the job that they're trying to keep, and then they were allowed to stay over the person who had literally 10 years seniority and somebody who barely had seniority. And we just think that's wrong. It should be, if they're being kept, it's because they have something that you need for that job. And so we've made that clarification here. We think this does it.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yes.
So the issue we had on that was, I think it was a teaching license, so like a TSBC license to
That was one of
sub
them, yeah.
for a classroom aide. So do you think that a teaching license to sub is required for a classroom aide, or is it not required? You just see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
hard-
not required for the classroom aide. That those people
Okay.
were being pulled to cover for a teacher. And my argument at the time was, well, yeah, they're on the layoff list, you can pull them up and work them, to do that, right? They'd
Yeah.
probably be happy to work that day at a higher pay rate for the day covering
Yeah,
that
sure,
teacher,
yeah.
yeah. But that was not how it was felt by the previous administration. So we're trying to correct that here, because really, when we're doing RIFs, we're really looking at, like, how many people do we need to go from 10 to 8 in this area, right? And we really should be looking at the folks. There could be issues, like, for instance, if you have a group in this group that's a heavy bilingual group,
That's what I was
and they're
gonna ask you.
they're
I was
young,
gonna ask you about,
and they're lower on the seniority list, they may get to stay over somebody who's not, because they need that skill to do the job.
Yeah, and to
That's-
communicate with families
Yeah,
and.
yeah, that's what we're talking about here, is that it
Okay.
should be affecting their job, because that's where they're being laid off. They're not being laid off from a mythical world where they might do these other things. They're being laid off from this job. We're reducing that from 8 to 10 in this group, and we should largely be using seniority, and when we're not, there should be things like that come into
Well,
play.
and I actually agree with you. Like, when I heard that we did it that way, I didn't think that was correct, which was why I
Right.
had Tony go through and figure out where the issues were, and we rectified those, we fixed that. Because when I heard that was done like that, I thought, oh, that's probably,
Well, and to make matters worse,
A
it
little
was
bit of a
the
stretch.
perception out there, I'll use that term, the perception out there was that certain people were advanced this opportunity to get that license to specifically end run seniority. And that did not set well with our membership, as I imagine you can, whether it's true or not, it did not set well with the membership, let's just put it that way, so.
yeah, I would have no idea about that part of it. That is, I just didn't think that was done correctly. So I wouldn't have done it that way if I'd been in charge. Sorry.
So if you turn the page,
Can I ask a really dumb question, Toby?
you can ask a question now.
Oh, never mind. No, so this is, I'm new to a lot of the language stuff. But in the Article 3, 7C, that doesn't matter whether it's part of the job or that they're utilizing that as part of the job, correct?
7.
This is
See,
the
so, we went back and forth on this. I think we'd be willing to have that discussion, because if you never have use for it, it does seem to be a bit odd. We try to pick things we think you would use, in here. Like you need somebody who knows boilers, you need somebody who knows, that may do some spray abatement for different things, pests or whatever, right? The intent was to make they're more valuable to you at the school. But you know, the idea that they would get a license just to get a license, that you have to pay them more, that was not the intent. So that was not what we were aiming for. We would agree if you want to propose language, but that's not what we were trying to do. We were trying to say, hey, these things make them more valuable to you as a district. That
And
was the
it's,
idea.
is it just one from this list, or could you have two? from
That,
the
we
list?
had each before, so it would be one.
So
If you have
maximum
any one
one.
of those, yeah. Yeah, we did see that it said each in there, so you could have quite a, you know, a nice 50% increase there.
I have
But
all
we
of
moved
these.
that. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
so we did shift that back so that it is just one.
So I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Because I do the placements for experience in education, and right now, historically, there has been a practice that when you begin employment with the district, you are placed at a higher wage based on your education and full years of full-time experience.
Sure.
So bachelor's and master's degrees are already taken into consideration when you start with us. One thing that I don't know historically has ever really been looked into enough is like maybe like a continuing education credit, where like maybe we have somebody hanging out in a position and they have achieved a bachelor's degree. Is that kind of what you're looking for, or are you looking for just a flat across the board? If they have this thing, we want them to have the 5%.
Yeah, I think that would merit more discussion, because if they are getting that at the start of their career, I would agree with you that, you know, I mean, I don't know if it's 5%, but that would, you know, that could be, I'm saying that could be a thing, but what happens to the people that get it during, they use the tuition reimbursement to get it during, right? What happens to the people that get the licensing while they're here, you know, working already for you, right? So I think it's going to be a more fluid conversation, but it would seem fair to me that it would be something that if you're already doing part of it, that we would adjust for the other part, you know, or codify what we're doing and make it clear what we want to do. I think that's reasonable discussion we could have on that. One of the things that, one of your chapters nearby, Cascade actually has language around this too. If you want to look at their agreement, that might be helpful, instructive, I don't know. But I think they mentioned specifically, when you start, they do this, and if you get it during the time, they do this, right? So I think that's how they do it, exactly what you're talking about.
Awesome. If you know of any other districts, that'd be super helpful, because as I took on the license
Corvallis would be
agreement-
another one, I think, that does some version of this. So
As I took
Corvallis
on-
and Central are the two that I can think of. off the top of my head. And they don't do it exactly the same way either.
That makes sense.
As
Yeah.
I took on the license agreement, I noticed that there are more opportunities for advancement as far
Yeah.
as like being licensed staff, because as you continue your education, you can move over a column.
Right.
And so I did reach out to the Oregon School Personnel Association over the past year, asking like, are other districts doing anything? Because I do see a need for people who are continuing to grow to get something.
Mhm.
How else can we acknowledge that? So I will dig into these and reach back out to the Oregon School Personnel Association. I'm sorry, it is the statewide group of human resources personnel for K through 12 districts. But I'll reach back out to them and see if they have other continuing education or creative compensation opportunities that are working really well and are very well established.
Okay.
We should also look at Umatilla. So Heidi Sipe was talking about a program that she had for classified employees, and I think it was mostly people that were in a instructional capacity, but she had a training program for them, and then if they did all this extensive training, she gave them a bump in pay. Like it was like $1 or $2 an hour. So we should look at them and see, we'll check theirs too. I don't know how she did it exactly, but she felt that it made their employees more prepared to handle challenges in the classroom by having all this extensive, training she had an instructional coach that did the training with them. And then once they completed that training, she would bump their pay. So it was an incentive to complete the training.
Sure. We just
and
did
be
something
more
like that in
effective.
North St. Anne's new agreement, for their preschool people. We just did some version of that where they can move up to this other scale if they complete the state required stuff that puts them at a higher level. So, yeah, thank you.
Is the vision that the employee submits their certification to HR to get this, or do they
Yes.
request it specifically, like by email, or what would be the function?
So again, like Cascades, they do a request to the employee every year, and then I think Corvallis, you have to submit it, like you're saying. So it just depends on what works for the different areas. I mean, I don't see a problem with them if they want this money to submit that seems like a reasonable request, yeah.
But again, if they had like I'm just making it up, sorry, if they have a classroom job, but they had a previous life, a spray applicator's license, they could argue, hey, it's on the list, so I should be able to do that.
So
But
I think generally, we try to keep it like within what they're doing, unless, because they have that license, you want to utilize them in that way, I suppose that could work. But I haven't seen a lot of that, but generally, what we're trying to do here is, you have the educational piece that everybody looks at, but the overlooked piece is always the licensing, right? Oregon City is another one for you there. So sorry, just popped in my head. But we're trying to kind of some parity for the people that maybe don't have the 4-year degrees or the master, but they have other things that are beneficial to the district. But generally, they're within the job that they do. I mean, in theory, you could make that argument, I suppose, but then they better be prepared to go out and do the spraying that you need too, right? So,
Right.
but yeah, so like I said, it's going to be more of a fluid discussion if we want to have that. I haven't seen that, but under that scenario, it could happen that way.
Can I clarify, I'm on the same page, 10C, that should be 1,250, correct?
Did
It
I
just has
not
an
write it
extra
out
zero.
again?
It just has an extra zero, I just wanted to make sure.
12500.
Yes, it should
Okay.
be 1,250.
Not 12,000.
Not
Apparently, I don't read the
That's
contract, I
okay.
just write the numbers, so, yeah, I apologize for that.
Can I ask a question about
As long as it's not that question, you can.
It's a different
Okay,
the Article 4 insurance,
yes.
district contribution A. So it says 1,900, but then it also says.
See, it is the same question.
We did.
We already caught
It's the first
It is the
one.
same question.
already caught that
We
one.
got it.
But not
Yes,
yet.
apparently I decided not to change any of the numbers. I guess I was trying to trick you or something, I don't know. But no, we just trying to hurry because we had a malfunction and lost all of our saved work, and so we came back and had to redo it all. That's why it took a minute on my stellar computer, so some of those details got skipped. I apologize. Well, I'll correct them when I send you the digital version, so you have the right version, okay? Including, I don't know where page 25, it must have stuck when we printed it, because Article 25, the first page is not in here either, but we've already agreed to what's on there anyway, but it's like one little thing. But going back to Article 25, so I talked to you about 2D. If you turn the page, and this here in blue should be struck. So we put back in the, if they've been previously removed, held position because of poor job performance. That made sense to us, but the discipline we removed everywhere else. So, I mean, this could be discipline the way it's written for anything. If it's poor, if they have poor job performance and they're removed for that, that's pretty straightforward what that is.
If they were removed for discipline, you're saying that they should be allowed to bump back into that?
Well,
Because
what's the discipline, right? Is it them being late?
Well,
No,
but
is
the key to me is removed. So the language says, and not removed from the previously held position for poor job performance or discipline.
Or discipline, yeah.
So if they were removed from that previous position for
Right.
discipline, removed from it, you
So, okay, so your
think they should be allowed
distinction
to
is,
go back into that job?
well, again, if they're removed for being late or something would be different, but what
But
you're
they were
saying.
removed. I mean,
No, I
I think like
understand.
the time
No, I
to
understand.
grieve that or to say that wasn't just cause or that
Was
they
back at the
shouldn't
time,
have
yeah.
done that, would have been back
Yeah,
then when they
yeah.
were removed from the job for
Yeah,
that reason.
if we go clear through that process to remove an employee, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
There's clearly some type of discipline associated with that. That's, I mean, we don't just do that for
Yeah,
no reason.
no, I agree.
We have to have.
No, that's a
cause,
good point.
the law.
All right, we'll rethink that one.
Yeah, you think about it, because we'd
Yeah.
probably reassert the language,
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
I think from our vantage point, if someone was removed from their job for disciplinary reasons, that would be a reason not to put them back into that role.
Okay, yeah, we hear you on that. We'll talk about that. So the rest of this article, I believe, we're in agreement with. And you can see we took out the reductions of trying to get people, different benefit levels and stuff like that. That's been removed as well. And then the last page that's not in here that will be in the version I sent to you is going to be just showing the 4 additional group, that one page that shows the 4 different groups we want to reclass. That's it. All right, there's our bundle. Give you something to work on for next time since it's 5:30 now. And we'll get back to you on 13. If we can get back to you today on this, if we think we're close enough, then we'll do that. If we can't, we'll let you know here shortly, so we can make sure to,
Sounds good.
make sure.
I'm
we-
not going anywhere, I'm here for a board meeting, so.
Right, well, when does that start? Does it start at 6?
It starts at 6:30.
6:30, okay.
You're good.
Yeah, we'll get back to you before 6 about 13.
Okay, sounds good.